What's going on, boys? Today I'm gonna show you something really important, but first we gotta look at this, dude. This was the best chess game I've ever had, bro. We were down. You can't even see because my camera's in the way. 0.2 seconds, we got the checkmate off. You guys know I'm currently a chess prodigy. I'm around a 300 rating. I've been so locked in. I've been grinding every day. My rating's going up like 50 points a day. Any of you guys can add me Steph trades. I'm gonna be a grandmaster. But y'all gotta lock in on chess, bro. It's making my decision making so much better. I'm always 3 steps ahead. That's exactly why I wanted to make this video today. You guys see we caught a banger. We actually caught low of day. I want to show you guys exactly what I do to give myself the best chance, because obviously it's not gonna happen every single time, but to catch low of day, to catch these big expansionary moves. I didn't pull full dollar out of this and catch the entire move, but I caught over 60 points in this, and it was, you know, a great setup. But doing this and implementing this is just going to give you guys so much more opportunity and potential to really put your money in the best case scenario spot. That's what I like to rely on as well. I like to put my money in a place where I believe that the market is not going from a 50-50 shot to leaning in my direction, giving myself an edge and actually taking this even further. We're just going to stay on the 2-minute because this is where I caught the setup, and any of you guys, you can find this on any time frame. You guys can see pre-market and last night was very bullish. We had a pretty nice sell-off yesterday. Ironically, there was no clear sentiment on why that happened. That's why going into today I was pretty bullish, because I was bullish yesterday, but price still ended up selling off, just giving me kind of an idea of like, why is this even happening? Verifies my statement, because why is this happening? Following the next day, of course, with today, which you guys saw a very bullish price action. Buyers holding this EMA at a higher low, buying all the way up to the high, rejecting off the high, and then we see this nice sell-off come in. At this point, I was not bearish. 2 red folders. Now, if you guys aren't clear on this, I know some of you guys like to trade through red folders, or you don't care about red folders unless it's no Powell speaking or CPI or PPI. Any red folder I tend to avoid. I will never give myself any sort of reason to trade before these times, because you have to understand everything going up to this point is just pretty much accumulation or just consolidation, whatever. Everybody that has any money is waiting for these to come out because these have a clear market impact. Boom, 10 o'clock hits and you guys see this giant candle comes in right here. Within like 1 second, this candle dropped around 100 points, bought all the way down to our 930 low. And this is a little bonus tip. If you guys like playing off supply and demand zones, 930 high, 930 low, very sick area to keep and open as a zone. You see at 10 o'clock, boom, we had this ginormous sell-off. I was like, oh, everybody in the VC was like, oh, by the way, join the Discord if you haven't already. But we actually ended up pushing off of this, breaking the 930 low, buying back up and closing with a really bullish bottom wick on the 2-minute above that 930 low. This is something called nested zones. Again, I made a video on this before. It's just a zone within a zone, but ironically this time the previous zone is actually smaller than the newer zone, but I like to keep both open again because this is just a clear area where I'm expecting to see buys. You see price actually buys up off of this. We make this really bearish topic right here and a lower high, which is a very bearish sign. Price drops, whatever. Boom. This first candle gave me an idea for a trade setup. And this is exactly what we got into today and why we made our money. But I was on an eval today because I was already down $22,000. Seeing all these bearish topics, you guys can see right here on the 2-minute, which gave me a bearish sentiment on the short term. But what I always wanted to say, and what you guys should always do, is if you clearly see a low like this, you're not taking the short side till we actually break the low. Why? Again, because we understand there's huge buyers in this area, and you guys can see, look at the outcome of this trade. Look at all these bottom wicks in this area. Huge area for buyers. So if I am bearish, and it looks like we really were up to this point, I'm not going to take a trade till we get underneath this low and actually close below, because that will invalidate their, you know, buying. So once I saw buying up in here, I was like, okay, wait, let me look for an opportunity to take buys off this low. If I do see some bottom wicking, which is, again, it was consolidating, almost fell through, saw some potential for a long, waited for the candle to close, jumped in, stop loss at low of day at the bottom of this wick, and TP just ran a 1-to-1 on this because, again, it was over 50 points. Anything over 50 points, I usually tend to run a 1-to-1. And look at how well buyers held this low. So initially, we got in right at this candle close. Look at how nicely we popped right up, again, because following this bearish bullish candle close, look at all these buyers following up. There was someone in the VC today that said, if I lose this trade, I would have to strip naked, and I agreed to it right on this candle. It actually kind of got pretty close. But this is why we actually trade off of levels, is because areas like this are key areas where we're really looking for our side to really play out. Where we want to see buying is here. And indirectly that's bad because, you know, in order to see buying here, we need to be in drawdown, which, you know, it can be seen as a negative. But I don't think it is. We have our stop loss here for a direct reason. So what that means is I'm always going to stay in this trade until this stop loss gets hit. I'm going to have my stop loss here because I believe this is the last leg for buyers, because that is the side I'm playing, to hold. I don't want to get faked out of this. I don't want to exit too early and get emotional. I believe that if price gets below this area, there is a high chance that this trend is going to continue down. But until that happens, I'm going to stay bullish. And there was someone in the VC today, bro. Shout out to you, bro. This happened right here, bro. He's like, oh, it's going to go sweep London lows. I was like, all right, bet, buddy. Wait, watch what happens. But this is why nested zones are so good, and you should just leave them up because it doesn't hurt at all. Look at how well we're buying off of this 930 low. So yes, this is all buying within this previous 10 o'clock candle. But you see, boom, buying right off that 930, buying right off that 930, buying right off that 930. All these bottom wicks, it made me really confident that we could see a pop up. Again, we were very bullish going into the day. So we are playing with the overall trend of the market. We had a 10 o'clock news reaction come out where we actually sold off, meaning yes, these candles did sell off, but you guys can see we were seeing some buyers here. There was clear intent to keep price above this 930 low. And the fact that we grabbed these buyers already underneath it is really important as well. Chopping for a little bit, again, just holding this low. That's all we were looking for. Once again, boom, finally saw this nice pop up, and you guys can see it just never, ever stopped. You can go through the whole day, spam this freaking button, just kept ripping. This is why I don't care how you trade. If you're not incorporating supply and demand zones, you're really just doing yourself a disfavor. I love momentum plays like this and just gearing up for the next leg. Anytime that I can catch a 930 low mixed with a news low. Now that we've explained the setup, let's go clearly into what I mean, what you should look for so you could potentially repeat something like this in the future. Step one was the 930 low. We mark out the 930 low just because, again, this was a clear low of day since the session opened. I really don't like to look on the future side of thing at low of day of the entire pre-market, last night, all that stuff. I like to look at 930 low, because that's the session we're trading. The New York session low, this case, it was right there, and boom, you see we bought right up off of it. At that point, we check the news. We go on Forex Factory and see what time the news comes out, if there are red folders. What can we do if that does play out with our bias? This is the big one. You guys need to watch price action from 9:30 to 10. So again, I am living in Florida, so I'm in the Eastern time zone, so market is from 9:30 to 4 o'clock, meaning from 9:30 to 10, I am watching what the candles are doing. I'm watching how price is moving, giving myself any sort of advantage going forward. What should I expect to see once actually news comes out, what the price action is moving like, what's the trend like, how are buyers and sellers moving. All these things you should keep up with and wait to strike, but understand what you're getting into before by watching the price action as this thing unfolds. Doing this is such an important thing because it gives me an advantage, because a lot of people like to jump in right at 9:30, start trading, and kind of wait for these candles to form out and try to guess as they go. But at this point, I wait 30 minutes. I know how the trend and the day has already been moving. Everything that needed to happen, all the volatility that needed to happen right at market open has already been exercised. So at this point, again, I can kind of see and predict what I'm doing, and it's going to help me be so much better going forward throughout the day because I have that advantage of actually sitting back and waiting. Go into the day with a bias. Again, we looked at pre-market, we saw it was bullish. Yesterday we had this really nice sell-off, but I did some more research, I dug a little deeper, and there was really clearly no reason why it was bearish. Again, we've just been in this really nice downtrend. Going into the week, if you have a very strong sided week to one side, like this week has been, if you go on the bigger time frames, it's been extremely bearish. As the week comes to an end, the trend will usually flip a little bit. So going into the day and seeing everything and putting that all together, I was bullish. So we were looking for longs. Most important one, news reaction. At this point in the day, we've done everything, we've seen everything, and you guys can tell from 9:30 past, we were supposed to be watching the trend. It came out and was bullish. You guys see this was a very bullish uptrend we had right at market open up. Right as we approached news, though, the sell-off started to happen. I would consider, as long as we're above this 930 low, that we would still be bullish. Now, all we need to do is, again, wait for the news to come out, but we want to make sure that when the news does come out, it is actually bullish. It is playing to our side. If it comes out flat, the arrow or the color will just be gray. It won't have a certain color. I've said this before many times on Forex Factory. If you guys don't understand already, this is a Forex website. Good for currency is bad for the stock market. So in this case, it would be the opposite. Every color that you see on here is the opposite for us because we trade the stock market. So if this came out red, is actually green because bad for Forex is good for the stock market. Overly bearish news reaction with a bullish sentiment is a good sign for us to take an opportunity to take long. Go on your preferred time frame at this point and actually mark out the low. In this case, we double stack zones, which is another bullish thing for us. It is a good thing to have double stack zones within a shorter amount of time, proving to us that in this area, all I'm looking for are buyers, and that's exactly what we got. At that point, once you've hit the low, bounced up off of it, rejected, made a bottom wick, you mark it out, and now we're looking for just buyers to come back in this area. We're not chasing, we're waiting for this to pull back to this area where we've yet to see buyers step in again, knowing that buyers are here, getting the most value out of our entry here. This is the thing, if you guys know there are buyers somewhere, why would you buy up here and have a bigger stop loss when you could just wait and know that you're going to get the most value out of this with the highest RR potential. Once again, we rejected, came all the way down, just waited to see some good buying. And this wasn't clear enough for me. And this is kind of the point where it can be pretty personal for you to pick. And once again, you still would have actually never got stopped out of this. But the main thing for me is just waiting for a really bullish sign. And you guys are going to have to get better at reading price action. But when you guys see where I got my entry, you'll probably get a clear indication why I took an entry right there. Again, these candles are not telling a clear story for me just yet. They are showing buying, but I need to see this big sweep of buys. I need to see this big influx of buyers coming in, and that's exactly what we got right there. I love that candle close. That is amazing. We broke below our 930 low. A huge bottom wick. Think about how many sellers came in right there and buyers just completely reversed them. So now going forward, those sellers are now out of the market and we want to see this continue up, and the buyers going forward hopefully will push this further. Wait for the candle close because that is the only way we get confirmation. And then you guys see again, we know that buyers are underneath us. So at this point, we just need to hope. That's all you can do when you're in a trade like this is just hope. Consolidation, grabbing more buys, boom, boom, boom. Once enough sellers have exercised themselves and sellers are getting weak, this is a really good thing for us to see, is you're seeing sells coming in. So you're seeing these red candles, but guess what? They're not getting anywhere. We're seeing these very clear rejections off of this area, but the sells that do come in, they're not getting very far. That can just show weakness going forward. Hey, sells are running out. If this wanted to continue to push down, they would need a big push down, and they're not getting it. They're seeing a kind of stagnant move. You see how price is just staying within this kind of box? That shows another clear opportunity for buyers if they want to take this to the next level. And once again, that's really all you can hope for when you're in any sort of trade, and that's exactly what we got. I kind of forgot to preface this, but again, once we have the news come out, make sure it is corresponding to our bias. Then at that point, find the low. If they did make a low, again, in this case, it came out bullish, but it was overly bearish, which is again, good sign for us. We already talked about this, made the low. So now we draw it out. And then what we're looking for next, rejection off the zone. And that's exactly what we got right there. Again, that is a totally personal preference thing. It's going to have to be something that you just pick and decide. Again, it really wouldn't have mattered if you would have got in here. It would have worked if you got in on any of these candles. It never actually got below the low, but you obviously want to be as precise as you possibly can. Just make sure that when you do get into a trade, it's a very clear, confident thing, and wait for a candle close, of course. And last thing, make sure to put your stop loss at the low. That's really what it comes down to. Again, we're making sure that we can get as minimal as a stop loss as we possibly can, but as impactful and as resourceful as we can with the money that we are putting into this. Like I said, if you put this in full speed, we really actually caught low of day and we would have had a nice continuation. We would have caught over 200 points at the highs. But again, that's not what we're here for. We don't do that. We don't try to catch freaking the lows and the highs, but it is obviously very rewarding. And it's great to see just overall at the end of the day, that we did catch a great trade. We caught an amazing setup. We got our money out of it. That's what you have to do. You have to, you have to be humble, be okay. A lot of people were like, damn, bro, I could have held this all day and made $10,000. That's not how it works, man. You made your money. God is good. We did everything that we needed to do. We got our money out of it. We believe that we take a good trade. We risk what we wanted to. We exit when we need to make sure that we secure these profits. Again, it's a Friday. I don't even like trading on Fridays anyways. We get it done, and we did what we did. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe, join the Discord if you haven't already. Apply in my bio below. Love you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Drink a lot.